Hello, New York. Candidate, what's that about? No, I'm just kidding. I think I've got a companion chair here coming.
I'll just stand. It's fine.
Oh, I appreciate it. It'd be fun to make an announcement here. How many of you all from New York? Raise your hand. Majority. Big sports weekend this weekend. I went to the Knicks game on Monday. It's a lot of fun. How was that?
All right. Super excited for this interview. Normally, I'm very nice to people ask questions, but I think when you've been a presidential candidate, you can take the heat, right?
Sure. I mean, it bounces. When you're a presidential candidate, it bounces between very, very obsequiously nice or very, very mean. So you can pretty much just pick either of those, and I'll be totally comfortable.
Perfect. So before, we'll talk about AI, automation, UBI, all that fun stuff, but let's kind of go a little bit to the origin story. A lot of people here may not know Andrew Yang, the business owner. They may not know your background sort of on the entrepreneurial side. Would love to start by hearing a little bit about what drew you to that life and kind of what you built there.
I'm going to go back even further. My parents met at UC Berkeley. My brother's named after the Lawrence Hall of Science, so I used to joke that maybe they got a little too busy there in the hall. But my dad is a PhD in physics. My mom's a master's in math. So I grew up a very nerdy, geeky kid in upstate New York. And politics was the last thing in the Yang household. They actively, anytime it came up, they'd actively discourage it. So for me, I came up as a small business owner. How many of you own a small business? And I still look back very, very fondly on that time as the best time of my life, honestly, running a small private company, because everything made sense. And if you delivered for your customers, you would grow and you could reward your people. I did that for 6 or 7 years, and then our company was bought by a public company in 2009. So my origin story is really that of a small business owner who then wound up making a turn to politics.
Why?
Yeah, indeed. All right. So here's where I went. So I ran a company that helped people get into business school. It's called Manhattan Prep. It became #1 in the country at GMAT Prep. And so it was bought by a public company, and so I thought, okay, what am I going to do now? And so I had this bright idea that we didn't have enough entrepreneurs in the U.S., that we should train more of them to go start businesses in Detroit, Cleveland, Baltimore, Birmingham, New Orleans. Super wholesome, right? It's called Venture for America. So I ran that organization for 6 or 7 years, and then I decided to go political after Trump won in 2016. And I thought the reason he won is that we'd automated away millions of manufacturing jobs that were in Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and that my friends in Silicon Valley were working on AI that was going to automate away lots of other jobs. So just for fun to level set, what percentage of Americans graduate from college? Oh, it's fun, right? It's 35%. So you have an economy that's about 2/3 high school grads. So the most common jobs in the U.S. economy are, go ahead and shout out. What are the most common jobs? Truck driving is #4.
Farming?
Farming is definitely not in the top 5. Farmers are about 1% of the population, believe it or not. So food service and food prep is #3. Retail is #2. #1 is clerical and administrative, which includes call center workers still, believe it or not. And #5 is manufacturing. So again, 1 clerical and administrative, 2 retail, 3 food service and food prep, 4 truck driving and transportation, and #5 manufacturing. Those 5 job categories are about half of all American jobs, which makes sense if you imagine that the population is 2/3 high school grads, because what a high school graduate jobs look like, they look like those 5 things. So AI is going to do a number on all of them. When do you think that AI is going to be able to replace call center workers? Yeah, what day is it? It's Friday, and they could do it on Monday. Or you guys are already doing it. I mean, if you all run small businesses, and if you raise your hand again if you're a small business owner, how many of you are not hiring people because you managed to get AI to do that work? If you're smart, all of you. So to my credit, I figured this out in 2017 and said, holy shit, like this country has no idea what's coming. So let me be the Paul Revere, magical Asian man from the future, and tell everyone what's coming and start lighting a fire for a different type of economy. So that's what got me into politics. And it obviously worked. That's why I'm both your president and mayor today. And things are going so well.
So coming from the world of business, I'm guessing everything in politics is different, right? And business feels more controllable, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
What was the most surprising part of the transition? And knowing what you know now, are you glad you did this?
I mean, I made the same mistake several times in my career, which was I imagine that the next thing I'm going to do is going to be similar to the thing I'm doing at present. And so I thought running for president would be something like starting a wholesome entrepreneurship nonprofit. But it turns out that running for office is much more intensely personal, where people see if you're a candidate, then they're like, okay, then like I get to ask you anything then, and I get to dig in. I can comment on your appearance or whatever it is. Like as soon as you decide to run for office, you're exposing yourself to public judgment and scrutiny in a way that is not true in any other context. Certainly, if you're the CEO, it's like, hey, my job is to run a quality company that does a good job for you, but you can't like ask me about my family life or whatever the heck. Whereas running for office, there's much more of a magnifying glass. And that was an adjustment. I'm obviously doing a great job convincing you all to run for office. You're all like, ooh, like let me do that. But at the same time, I thought that the problems I wanted to address could only be solved if you had the government getting its act together, which I still think is true.
So more directly, for the people here that are entrepreneurs, maybe people who are successful, have had financial success, are thinking about what's next, do you think running for office is something...
Is this for you, Encore? Or you're like...
Yeah. Planning
you're
next
like,
moves
I'm
always.
tired of helping all these small businesses.
Yeah.
Anyone. I mean, it's a very personal decision, but I have some thoughts. I mean, I think there are copies of my book around, so you can get some of my thoughts. Thank you for buying them. That was nice. I don't know what the criteria was to
Yeah,
to
by the
get
way,
one.
you can all go to the Carey booth. We're giving away copies of Andrew's book as long as they
Look at
last.
that. See, that's all you have to do is ask. Our political system's not working very well at all right now. And at a local level, it's getting gnarlier and nastier and meaner. And so when I talk to groups like this one and their business leaders, so here's what happens in the course of our careers is like you get some more success, you get some more success, and you think, okay, what can I do to broaden my impact? And at some point, some of you thought, well, the way to broaden your impact is to run for office. But then a lot of those folks have now become discouraged because the political climate is so dysfunctional and nasty, where a lot of the best people I know would not run for office now, which is very unfortunate. I will say last month I was with a guy named Mark Cuban being like, hey, Mark, you doing this thing? And for him, it would clearly be president. I think Mark would make a phenomenal president. And one of the things Mark commented to me was like, hey, I did some things in my 20s that I'm not that excited to have, splayed out for public consumption. So for folks who want to run right now, I actually have a better recommendation for you, which is that instead of saying, hey, let me run for office, what I think we should do is try and fix the system, because I think that's what business owners are better at anyway. I think it'd be more rewarding and wholesome. And there are ways that we can fix the system, where the two-party system right now is disintegrating before our eyes. You have both parties at record low popularity level. 60% of the population does not think that they're spoken for in this system. And so I sit before you, the founder and co-chair of the third biggest political party in the country by resources, the Forward Party, which is unfortunately not saying a whole hell of a lot. It just means that we're better at fundraising than the Greens or the Libertarians, which is true. It's like a low bar I've set. But we are growing very quickly. We have 52 elected officials. The mayor of Detroit just signed a pledge. So, there are ways that we can create an alternative path. And that's where I would push business owners, is to be like, to think bigger. Because if you were to run for local office, 80% of the population does not think that they're spoken for in this system. And so I sit before you, the founder and co-chair of the third biggest political party in the country by resources, the Forward Party, which is unfortunately not saying a whole hell of a lot. It just means that we're better at fundraising than the Greens or the Libertarians, which is true. It's like a low bar I've set. But we are growing very quickly. We have 52 elected officials. The mayor of Detroit just signed a pledge. So, we're ways that we can create an alternative path. And that's where I would push business owners, is to be like, to think bigger. Because if you were to run for local office, it would be kind of gross, honestly. And then even if you were to win, I have a feeling a lot of you might get frustrated with what you can and can't get done. Like the solutions this country needs are going to take a bit of bigger thinking. And I think some of the people in the room would be great at that.
Yeah, my perspective, and again, I'm an outsider, I always imagine in politics, as a business owner, you want to do something, you do it. As a politician, you have to continually convince people to do the thing that is the thing that should be done. Did you find that to be true?
Yeah, it's generally true. I mean, I was a pretty good CEO. It's like if I wanted us to do something, it was generally because it was good for the business. Like I tried to treat people well. Like I tried not to be an asshole on any given day. You know what I mean? It's like I succeeded most days. But when I ran a nonprofit, even that was a very different animal because at that point, what you're doing is you're raising money from various constituencies, and then the people that work for you are often very mission driven, and so there's like a different culture. And then a political campaign is that to another degree, where you might have your opinion or thoughts and feelings. And one reason why I think I succeeded, by the way, let me ask this: how many of you all supported my my presidential campaign? Well, if you didn't, oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that. The rest
I didn't support your mayor campaign.
The rest of you, you are why poverty still exists. So congratulations. So one of the reasons why I overachieved was that I actually had a point of view and an opinion because there was no constituency behind raising the alarm for AI. There was no constituency around trying to alleviate poverty in this country because it turns out poor people don't have much of a political voice. I mean, it's very, very unfortunate, but it's true. And so I had a point of view, and then some Americans said, you know what, that guy actually seems to be a human being. 42% of my supporters were not Democrats, and I was running in a Democratic primary because there were a lot of people that were just like, oh. And, it was a very conservative voter. I got a lot of conservative voters. One of them said something that really touched me. It was during a Fox News interview, and she was asked, which of the Democrats would you consider voting for? And she said, Yang. And then the anchor was shocked and was like, why Yang? And she said, because he does not seem to be judging me. There's a very significant proportion of Americans who just wanted someone who didn't seem like an automaton and wasn't super partisan. The problem in political circles, to your question, Ankur, is that what does that figure say when they get asked the question? They say what they think they're supposed to say because that's the incentive structure of the system that they're in. And I'm someone who does not think that Donald Trump I don't think he's the right leader. Like I got into politics because I thought him getting elected in 2016 was a disaster. I think him getting elected again in 2024 is even worse and is like a sign of just how bad things have gotten. But one reason why he has been successful is that he seemed like he was a human being, a deeply flawed one, but a human being with his own viewpoint instead of this weather vane. And most politicians feel like weather vanes. And this is to your question, Ankur. It's like if you're a CEO, you probably should not be a weather vane. Like that organization's not going to do very well if every time there's a decision you're like, what do you guys want me to do? What do you guys want me to do? Like that's not going to work so well. But in politics, that actually is the norm. Again, I'm doing a great job selling this Weirfield. It's like, oh man, this guy really fired me up about running for office. I too want to turn whichever way the wind blows. But this is one reason why we need to change the party system, because if you run in a race in 90% of the country, one of the parties is in control, and then when you show up, you know what perspective you're going to have? Whatever the heck the majority in that precinct or district tells you. And then you wind up with a very, very dysfunctional political system.
What was running for mayor like relatively, right? You ran a fantastic presidential campaign. No one knew of you there. That's when I first saw your stuff, was a big fan. Running for mayor was a little different. You came in with people kind of knowing you, and I'm guessing local politics is an entirely different beast, New York City specifically. What was that experience like?
So what I say, Ankur, is that the two races were pretty much polar opposites, because in the presidential, there was a joke in my campaign that it's all fun and games until Andrew Yang passes you in the polls, and then you drop out like a week or two later. I was like the Grim Reaper of presidential candidates. But my job at all times was to keep on generating energy and support and attention. And I was like the likable upstart. In the mayoral campaign, I was the press magnet, and then the only way other candidates could get press is by taking shots at me, and so I would just take shots every single day. And so I would joke to my wife, it's like I feel like I'm a whale, like trying to get back out to sea, and every day like people just like throw harpoons into my side, and I'm just like, if I can just make it back to the ocean, everything will be okay. So there were very different dynamics. Again, I'm doing a great job convincing you all.
One last question about politics before we talk about AI and some stuff. And this is honestly something I've wondered as well. Did you ever feel any additional pressure of representation being Asian American in the political system, or at this point you think no big deal?
Oh, I was very proud of being the first Asian American to run for president in that context. I think it was like 60 years or something like that. And there was an Asian family in New Hampshire that came up to me, took a picture with me, it was very touching, and then said, "Thank you. We didn't know we were allowed to run for president." Yeah. No, so you get things like that, and then you understand how you're doing good on multiple levels. I'll even say I came off the first debate stage and saw the picture of the stage, and even I was like, "Who's the Asian guy standing next to Joe Biden?" And I was like, "Oh fuck, that's me." Dope. So. Yeah, I mean, you're aware. At the same time, I mean, the themes I was running on were themes that would affect everyone who, cares about the country and society and having a job for their children.
Yeah, representation matters so much. I mean, you hear it, but it's quite another thing to experience it. Let's go back.
I have an Asian joke too. I have a lot of Asian jokes, by the way. But one of them was like, if you're Asian and when you first heard about my presidential campaign, I know your first thought was, please let him not be terrible. You're like one of those horror movies where like your eyes, you like don't want to look. I remember. It's fine. Don't worry about it. I'm Asian too.
So you ran on a campaign, like back to the presidential campaign. You talked about AI, automation. What are parts of, a lot of it you've generally been right, but looking back, are there things that played out differently than what you anticipated? Or did you predict every little bit of the future accurately?
So I was in Iowa saying to them, like, look, guys, I'm standing here at the biggest truck stop in the Midwest, and pretty soon the trucks will drive themselves. Now, I was wrong on the sequencing, to your point, Ankur, because I was saying AI is going to automate trucking before it automates, for example, repetitive white-collar work. Like, instead of that truck stop in Iowa, I should have been standing at some, like, empty accounting office or something in Manhattan. I should have been at E&Y and being like, all you accounts are fucked. But 44% of American jobs are either repetitive cognitive or repetitive manual. And a lot of attention is being paid to repetitive manual, but not enough attention is being paid to repetitive cognitive, which were often the entry-level work opportunities for college grads. You know what I mean? Like, what job were they going to do? They're going to come in and be like, okay, I'll be like your basic analyst, report writer. And I'm deeply saddened for what's going to happen to that generation, because you don't need that freaking report writer or analyst, Maybe you need one where you would have hired 8 before. You get 1 plus AI, and then you'd be like, hey, just do all this for me. So what happened to the other 7? And college did not get any cheaper just because those jobs disappeared. So you have these structural imbalances that are affecting different parts of the population in a different way. And because of our completely incoherent political system, it's just getting expressed as anger and despair. And solutions are not forthcoming. So if you say what I got right and what I got wrong, directionally accurate, sequencing, not right. But, like I'm sure the trucks will drive themselves like at some point. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't totally wrong to be at that truck stop making that case.
How do you now think about UBI? And maybe for people who may not have heard of what UBI is, quickly introduce the concept, and has your thinking on the importance of it evolved?
So UBI is Universal Basic Income. The GDP of the United States of America, as we're together right now, might be something like $82,000 a head this year. And so I was making a case for $12,000 a year for every American as a foundation or floor, which I still happen to think is an excellent place to start and a great idea. You'd save a lot of money on education, healthcare, incarceration, homelessness. You get a lot of the money back. Be investing in households and people. Now, even, and this breaks my heart, because when I was making this case in Iowa, people would ask me all the time, it's like, oh, can we afford that? Where'd the money come from? I'd be like, we have the money. But fast forward, we spent $6 to $7 trillion on COVID, which if you do the math would come to something like $17,000 per American. So if you'd wanted to, you could have just like cashed out like a lot of Americans for that time. But now you're thinking to yourself, wait a minute, I didn't get $17,000. Like you didn't get $17,000. So about 83% of the 6 trillion went to institutions, cities, states, financial markets, pipes, liquidity. And so we jammed trillions of dollars into the system, and we are still dealing with some after effects of that. And so it makes me really sad that this is how we've allocated like our resources over the last number of years. I'm still someone who thinks, look, we need universal basic income, but I actually withhold this from a lot of crowds, but I'm going to give this to you guys because I think it's really important. So one of the things people say to me all the time is like, hey, Andrew, people need to work. UBI doesn't address that. I'm like, look at my face. Like, I'm Asian. I love to work. But I know that people need structure, purpose, fulfillment, community, and that jobs or job-like arrangements are some of the best ways to do that. And so if you get money into people's hands, you still need all of these people coming together to solve problems and accomplish things. You have to understand, though, that if you put us in a race against AI and machines and capital efficiency is the only standard, we lose because just a lot of us are irrelevant in that world. What you have to do is you have to make it so that the measuring sticks and the goals that we're pursuing are things that we care about and we can reinforce. So that can be arts and creativity, it can be caring and nurturing, it can be health and wellness. Then you have people pursuing these activities and helping others and then be rewarded, not necessarily through dollars, but through different currencies. So I'm someone who thinks that you need a multivariate economy aside from these two dimensions. And my campaign manager made me swear to never talk of this because there's like, look, man, even getting people behind the magical Asian man who wants to give everyone money is hard enough. But if you start talking about new currencies, we're fucked. And so I was like, okay, I swear I shall never talk about the other currencies. But this is where we have to head. It's something called a human-centered economy. One of the forerunners for it is something called time banking. I did an interview with Stephen Dubner of Freakonomics on the topic of time banking if you want to give it a listen. But that's actually the vision we have to pursue. Universal basic income is a giant foundational step, but it's not necessarily the end goal.
What would now that you brought up the topic, what would the other currencies look like?
So you'd have one for arts and creativity. It would be a no-brainer. I mean, that everyone would love. You'd have one around health and wellness. So check this out. We should at this point be getting paid to go to the gym. I mean, give that some thought. You know what I mean? Like the
is the sense of accomplishment you feel after not currency
No, I mean like the positive externalities. Like you just have a healthier society and like lower healthcare costs and everything else. Like it actually pay for itself. I mean, really. We should be doing something very, very similar around like education and nurturing. And one of the examples I used on the trail was that one of my sons is autistic, and like how much is my wife's time with my son valued at in the marketplace? 0, which we all know is perverse and doesn't make any sense. And so you'd have another currency around caring and nurturing, and then you have people pursue these activities, and then you could rack up all of these like this recognition in these currencies and then use them to live a great life. And then people, because this is the kind of design we would need to avoid dystopia, because dystopia is coming very, very quick. I mean, all the values converging in AI data, certain massive companies. And hats off to you all who are building small enterprises, because I think small businesses are the best. I mean, you're like, you have to do a good job every single day. But we have to understand the way that this economy is naturally going to function, and that you have super money, data, and AI all creating a vortex, the likes of which humanity has never seen before. And then you have a political system that's completely out to lunch, and at this point, penguin clapping for it. And so, no, really.
I've never heard the term penguin clapping.
I mean, and so, like, there's a thinker named Buckminster Fuller who said something that encourages me every day, which is that, like, the race between utopia and dystopia will be neck and neck until the very last minute. And so what we have to do is we have to be investing in an economy we'd actually be excited about, because it's not going to take shape by itself.
Given all these changes are happening, I mean, what's next for you? How do you want to spend your time? How do you think about business and politics? What's the main quest? What's the side quest? What's up next?
So the main quest is to improve the human condition. And believe it or not, I actually wake up and try and do that every day, and it's going great. So I'm working on democracy reform and helping create an alternative in the Forward Party. There are various figures we're getting behind that I think could be very, very positive, including someone like a Mark Cuban. I'm going to pitch an idea to you for 2028 as a possibility. So let's say that Mark Cuban decided to run for president. His choices would be Democrat, Republican, Independent. So if he chooses to run independent, what does that look like? So here's the vision of the Forward Party, is that someone could run, let's say Mark Cuban runs for president as an independent. Who else do you guys like who you'd like to see run for president as an independent? Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Someone said Andrew Yang. Sure, I'll be there. Stephen A. Smith, I heard. Let's throw... here's one of mine, Matthew McConaughey. America's going to be all right, all right, all right. You might be able to get Oprah. And as soon as you get an A-lister, then some of the other folks come out. So you get like Adam Kinzinger, Justin Amash, or Liz Cheney, people. But you could, maybe Jamie Dimon, but you could run for president as independent, and all of a sudden you could just make your case directly to the American people. You don't have to go through the weird partisan stuff. And you could have it so that we all vote in this primary on our smartphones. It gets verified via a personalized QR code that gets sent to your mailing address, very hard to defraud. So you could be like, I'm for Yang, I'm for Cuban, I'm for McConaughey or whatever, and then like, you rack up these votes. And then the legacy parties would be left saying, no, 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 none of that is real. What is real is waiting to hear what 6% of Iowans think in February. And then you'd all be like, wait a minute, that's what's not real. So I'm working on this because I think this is the path towards solving real problems, but I'm not waiting. I'm also launching a wireless company called Noble Mobile, which is the first company that will pay you to use your phone less. And I want you to think about that a little bit. And so Scott Galloway, Prof G, is an investor. We'll be launching toward the end of the summer, early fall. But by the way, right now, you're spending, in all likelihood, an extra $1,000 a year on your wireless or whatnot. I'm paying Verizon $140 a month myself. I don't know if anyone else is doing something similar. Verizon and AT&T paid out $18 billion in dividends in the last 12 months. So at this point, the entire wireless industry is just like a giant cash transfer machine from us to the carriers to their shareholders. So Noble Mobile is going to try and align the incentives for us to use our phones in better, healthier ways, but also allow you to keep more of your money and then have that money grow on your behalf. I'm also coming out with a comedy book next year called Hey Yang, Where's My $1,000? Because
I can't tell if that's a joke. I actually can't tell if that's a joke.
You're not even sure. But it's got you thinking. So I'm an entrepreneur trying to do positive things for this country and society.
Cool. Final question. So you're an entrepreneur who's trying to do positive things for this country and society. We have in this room 600, 700 other entrepreneurs who would like to do positive things for society. If there's one thing people in this room could do to make a difference, to to help out, what would you say it is?
I mean, I genuinely mean this. I think what you are doing in terms of growing your business, rewarding your people, giving your employees careers, I genuinely think that's like the greatest thing. I still look back very fondly on that time. And I'm not someone who wants to throw my mission onto you. It's like you all have missions, which is just to, make your business better and smarter and grow. I guess my admonition to you would just be like, be good to your people. However you define your people, be good to them. And if your people ends up expanding beyond the confines of your organization, great, then give me a call. If you decide to define your people as this country or humanity, then certainly look me up. But I understand, like we all have very, very significant obligations to fulfill. And if you guys do a good job of that, that's all anyone can ask of you.
Thank you, everyone. There's copies of Andrew's book upstairs. Give him a big round of applause.
Thank you, New York. I will see you in 2028, or well before then. Thank you all.